Ready to rumble. Okay. So we'll give it a minute or two for people to jump on. Again, today's training session is all about the best way to get listings. So we had a conversation this week around, what training that you guys wanted most this Friday, and the people have spoken, and you guys wanted to know the best way to get listings. So that's exactly what we're going to jump into today. Are we all good on coming through on here? See. Let's see. I'm coming back. There you go. Okay, so I'm back. All right, here we go. Let's jump in. So when you are deciding to go after listings, there's a couple questions that you've got to think about first. And so the first thing that I wrote down today was there's nothing that I'm going to show you today. There is no magic fairy dust. There's nothing that you're going to learn from today's training that all of a sudden you wake up tomorrow morning and there are signed listing contracts in your inbox. It just doesn't work that way. You actually have to do the work. So that's just a good expectation before we jump into today's training. And it's going to be much more about your ability to execute and implement what you're going to learn today, more so than the actual information itself. Information out there is not the problem. The problem is us taking that information, implementing it into our business, and executing on it over time so that we can reach the levels of success that we want. It's much, much more about that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to jump in. So the first question that you've got to ask yourself when you want to get listings is where are you going to spend your time, right? And so when you look at where am I going to focus my time, where am I going to get those listings from? Well, obviously we want to focus on people. I'm going to write this out. We want to focus on people who we know for sure are selling. That's step one. Step one is focusing on people who we know with 100% certainty that are selling, right? I think so much of the time, real estate agents, for whatever reason, that's just so common sense, but for whatever reason, we're not focusing on the people who we know are selling. And so I'm going to get into who those people are here in just a second, but that's step number one. We need to focus all of our time, our resources, our prospecting efforts around people who we know are already selling. We take all the hard work out of it, okay? So that's step number one. There's really only three ways to actually generate business, right? You can buy it. You can buy a business. That's one way. Another way is you can wait for it to come in. This is most real estate agents' strategy. They get their license, they get into the business, they join a company, and then they just wait for somebody to reach out one day. And then lastly, we're going to talk about what I call proactive prospecting. And going out and actually finding the business. So today's training is going to be all about number three. Proactively, not waiting for something to come in. And I'm not going to talk about any paid lead generation tactics. Today's training is all built around proactively going out and finding the business. So it's sweat equity, doing the actual work, having the right conversations with the right people who we know are actually selling. There is no guesswork. We already know that they're selling, and so that's where we're going to spend our time on. Okay, so there's really 7 specific areas of focus that you should be focused on when you're getting the listings. So number one, and this is what I call my top 7. Again, maybe you guys have seen my another training where I talk about some paid generation tactics. We're not talking about paid strategies today. We're not talking about sitting around waiting, playing on Facebook and waiting for someone to call us. We're not talking about that. We're talking about going and finding it. So number one, and you've heard this one before, for sale by owners. That is my number one lead source for getting listings today. Why? Number one, we know that the for sale by owner is selling their home for sure. They've got a huge sign right in the front yard that tells us they're already looking to sell their home. So we know for certain that that type of person is already selling their home. Why is another reason why for sale by owners is my number one source of new listings? They are the easiest homeowner who is selling to get on the phone. For sale by owners, when they put their house up for sale, they are waiting by the telephone because they think that it's a prospective buyer, right? So they're the easiest seller lead to actually get on the phone. So number one source is for sale by owners, okay? Number two, and some of these you're going to be more, some of these you will be more familiar with than others, but number two is expired listings. These are obviously folks who already went on the market. They already tried to sell their home, and for whatever reason, they couldn't sell it. In today's market, in a seller's market, if their house didn't sell, well, obviously it's a pricing issue, and more so it's because the agent didn't have the guts enough to talk to the homeowner about pricing their home properly, and so they expired and came off the market. So you know there's some intent here to sell. But unlike the for sale by owner, with expired listings, not every single one of them still wants to sell their home. If you've ever called for sale by owners, you probably know that to be true. Some of them want to wait. Some of them have changed their mind. But it's still my number two way to get listings. So moving forward. Number three, absentee owners. So what's an absentee owner? An absentee owner is somebody who owns a piece of real estate that is not their primary residence, right? So it's either a rental property or something they've inherited. It's a property that they own that they don't live in. And so I was just working with an agent the other day and had him call absentee owners for the first time in his career. And he was like, holy crap, I cannot believe that I've never called absentee owners before. So a great way to get listings is focusing on absentee owners. A lot of absentee owners don't want to be landlords. They would much rather cash out, take the money, and run. But for whatever reason, they couldn't sell their home in the past, and so they ended up renting their home out. And so a vast majority of those types of folks, if they knew how much they could sell their house for and they knew that you could actually sell it, they would gladly cash out and sell the home. So my number three way to get listings now is focusing on absentee owners. Number four, moving right along, probate attorneys. So when we are focused on prospecting, because yes, surprise, you're in a sales business if you're a real estate agent, and so you actually have to have conversations with people, and these are the right people, because we know with probate attorneys, the majority of their clients have to actually sell a home. When things happen with family members, when they go through probate for whatever reason, a vast majority of those people have to actually sell a home. So you may be the type of agent who works really well with attorneys because you don't want to get caught up in all of these other lead generation tactics that a lot of other agents do. So you might niche out, is what we call it, and focus on probate attorneys, where instead of calling for sale by owners and expired listings every day, you're calling probate attorneys to set an appointment with a probate attorney, build a relationship, instill confidence that you're the right guy or girl to get the job done, and they start turning around and referring you their clients. It's a great pipeline to build a listing business. All right, so let's keep moving forward. Number five. So number five is my assisted living facilities. Not mine, but assisted living facilities. Think about this. When I talk about my assisted living facilities strategy, most agents have never thought about that ever, going after assisted living facilities. If you've ever talked to a sales manager who runs a assisted living facility, what they will tell you is that 90% of their tenants coming into their facilities have a home to sell. So if you focused on number one and you listen to number one, we're focused on people who we know are selling. Number 5 with assisted living facilities, that's a demographic, that's a target audience of people who we know are selling their home. So every morning you're spending 2 and 3 hours focused on calling sales managers of assisted living facilities, setting appointments, explaining to them how much you can help their tenants get their home sold and help them move into that assisted living facility. So for a lot of people, they've never heard that niche before. So that's a great demographic to go after because there is zero competition. Okay, moving right along. Number 6 is divorce attorneys. So think about that one. A large percentage of people going through divorce, the first thing that their attorneys make them do, or the judge rather, is selling their home and splitting up those assets. So what a great demographic to go after. Divorce attorneys who are dealing with these people every single day. Does it meet number 1? Yes, it is, because we know that those people are selling a home. And so divorce attorneys is a great avenue for you as a real estate agent to go after because, again, it's very, very low competition. Not a lot of real estate agents are focused on prospecting to divorce attorneys, and it's a high return because we know well, I shouldn't say all, but the majority of their clients that they deal with every single day are actually selling a home. So it's a great place to focus. Okay, and then rounding this out at number 7, and this is, I call it my demographic. I'm just going to abbreviate. Demographic circle prospecting. So not geographic, not just picking any random neighborhood and cold calling through the neighborhood, but a specific demographic. And my favorite demographic is to focus on homeowners who have been in the home for over 10 years and are of retirement age. Retirement age. Why? Because a large portion of those homeowners want to downsize. So they work their whole life, they're in a home for a long time, and once they get to retirement age, a large portion of those people end up wanting to actually, I'm going to move that down so you can see it, a large portion of those people actually want to sell their home. So instead of circle prospecting to just any random neighborhood, focus that and work with your list provider. And if you need help getting those types of leads, just let me know and I can introduce you to my list provider. But focus on people who have been in a home for over 10 years. What does the average say? That people are, on average, stay in their home for 7 years before they start selling. So if you're focused on only people who have been in their house for 10 years and they're of retirement age, there's a large probability that they are probably looking to sell here in the near future. So there's a specific strategy for each one of these things, and I'm not going to get into all of those today, but I'm hoping that you take just one of these things away from today's training and you can focus on it. Because remember how I started off the training, it's not the information. Now that the information's out there, it's not what's on this whiteboard that's going to actually get you the result. It's you taking something from this whiteboard and implementing it and executing on it in your business day in, day out, no matter what, that will get you the result that you're looking for. So hopefully that helps. Are there any questions from the crowd at all?
There is a question, Brandon, from Ken Trabuco. He says, hi, Brandon. Big question from agents in my groups is, how do you feel about the DNC list and to call or not? It seems the majority of the numbers are on the list, even FSBOs.
Yeah, so great question. So we get that all the time as far as the TPCA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. So I am not an attorney. I've just consulted with attorneys. And I'll just speak to FSBOs right now. With for sale by owners, when the for sale by owner puts their actual information out there, their cell phone number out there as a marketing tactic to draw in potential people for to sell their home, from my understanding, and again, just a huge disclaimer, I am not an attorney, so you have to consult with an attorney. But from my understanding, when they do that, they automatically take themselves out of the TPCA, out of the telephone, TCPA, I should say, TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. That's number one. Number two, what the act also says, and again, I'm not an attorney, but from my understanding, one phone call to somebody on the DNC list does not, it does not, it's not a violation. It's not a violation with one contact. What the TCPA states in the actual act is multiple attempts to somebody who is on that list. So one time and then someone says, hey, listen, I'm on the do not call list, do not call me again, and you never call them again. From my understanding, that is not a violation of the act. Any other questions out there?
Not at this time.
Cool. So hopefully that that works. If there's something that pops up over the weekend, if you're going to go on a listing appointment or you guys have a question about something specific in your business, never hesitate to reach out. I am tomorrow going to spend a large majority of my time watching Michigan kick Michigan State's ass in the Michigan State game. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Hopefully you guys have an awesome weekend. Thank you guys for watching another weekly training, and I'm sure we'll talk to you guys really soon.